Years ago, the media reported that the classified NASA archives contained an audio recording in which astronauts reported to a dispatcher about something unexplained on the surface of a satellite of the Earth. After this news, employees of the National Space Agency under the cover of night took out to the military range about 700 boxes with archival documents and destroyed them. Journalists have occupied NASA's representative office in Russia, but they have never received an explanation. All their questions were answered with one answer: state secret. What is wrong with the moon? What secrets does this cold satellite of our planet keep? Moon appeared. To date, scientists have different opinions about how the moon came to be. Some of the greatest minds of our time claim that it is a huge chunk that broke away from our planet about 4 billion years ago. After the split, a huge depression filled with the waters of the Pacific Ocean was left in the place where the now existing satellite was. The same proponents of the split theory say that all this happened after a collision with another planet, which was no larger than Mercury in its size. However, their opinion leads to a lot of logical questions. For example, why the composition of the moon's soil is very different from that of the Earth's, because our planet once was one with the satellite. The moon has no iron at all, while the Earth has plenty of it. Adherents of the split theory explain that during the collision, molten iron leaked from the core of our planet and was absorbed into its surface. The moon, on the other hand, when detached from the Earth, was pure, with no metal content. According to another version of the appearance of a satellite, the moon is a small, lonely planet, which over time was attracted by gravity. One could believe in this hypothesis, but recent scientific research has proven that the moon has a large mass and therefore Earth's gravity could not affect it. The last most interesting and unbelievable assumption was that the moon is an artificially created space object, which is designed to camouflage the bases of aliens watching our life. The reason for this theory was that when space probes were dropped on the surface of the satellite, it vibrated for several hours. This may suggest that the moon is a hollow sphere. In addition, scientists were able to establish that under the layer of lunar soil there is a crust with a high content of titanium ore. The titanium layer is more than 25 kilometers thick and can actually be nothing more than a skeleton of a hollow space object of artificial origin. Side of the moon, what is hidden from our eyes? Many people wonder why we see only one side of the Earth's satellite. The answer to this question is simple enough. Moon and our planet rotate with the same speed and make one revolution around its axis in 28 days. This stable state allows us to contemplate only one lunar face, while the other is forever hidden from our gaze. The dark side of the moon has plagued many astronomers around the world for years. Even Leonardo da Vinci himself tried to find out what it was hiding from humanity. Not so long ago, American scientists who landed several spacecraft on the moon were able to do it. Their goal was to find water, and they found it, though in the form of ice. Frozen liquid is at the bottom of the volcano crater, which appeared several billion years ago on the reverse side of the satellite. In addition to water, a huge amount of silicon was found in the soil surrounding the volcano. This element is rather uncharacteristic for the moon. We can say that it is practically absent there. This can be explained by the fact that there are no chemical processes taking place inside the satellite, which could cause the formation of silicon. We can assume that it got on the lunar surface after a meteorite fall, but still, such an amount of this mineral should not be there. Scientists do not know where it came from on the moon and why it is on the side that is hidden from observation from the ground. Influence of the moon on life on Earth. The moon is the closest celestial body to the surface of our planet, with its own gravity. The satellite constantly attracts the Earth to itself, so its rotation gradually slows down. Because of the constant deceleration, the Earth's day is getting longer, and after a few million years one day will be about 40 to 45 hours. The slowing down of rotation began more than 4 billion years ago, and at the time when the first animal species lived, one day lasted about 8 hours. If this effect of lunar gravity continues to negatively affect the Earth, sooner or later it will cease to be suitable for existence. In view of this, scientists have already begun to develop a plan to colonize other planets that will be suitable for the salvation of mankind. The first reserved space object for settlement was Mars. In 1985, the Soviet Union ordered the creation of a project of space buildings, which were to be made of special material capable of protecting humans from solar radiation. There was even presented a model of such a building, but after the collapse of the Soviet Union, work on creating housing for Mars colonists were frozen and classified. In parallel with the Soviet Union, the plan to settle the Martian surface was also developed by American scientists, but neither succeeded. Today, all the achievements in creating houses to build on Mars are kept in the State Archive and will be retrieved when necessary. Flight to the Moon. Neil Armstrong's landing on the Moon was a major event in the history of all mankind. Millions of people watched with bated breath the live broadcast of the Apollo 11 crew's first steps on the surface of the Earth's satellite. The TV showed the moon landing in real time, and everyone watched Neil Armstrong leave the space module. After a few minutes, the image changed to interference. After the malfunction was fixed, viewers could again see a clear image of the astronauts planting the American flag. 3 decades later, Edwin Aldrin, the co-pilot of the space module, explained what happened when the transmission stopped. According to him, the interference on the air was no accident. At that moment, the signal was distorted artificially in the Mission Control Center. It was done because Neil Armstrong reported incomprehensible spherical objects approaching their aircraft. They were emitting a bright light and were able to scare the Apollo 11 crew out of their wits. The dispatcher interrupted the live broadcast and tried to talk to the astronauts to find out what was happening to them. A few minutes later, the balloons disappeared as suddenly as they had appeared, and Neil Armstrong was ordered to pull himself together and complete the job he had started, because the whole world was watching. The astronauts successfully accomplished their mission and returned to Earth as heroes. They were forbidden to report what happened. After that, the whole information war began. Soviet scientists began to scrutinize the video footage of the Americans landing on the moon and accused the US authorities of faking it. The main argument was that the video shows the flag developing in the wind, but everyone knows that there is no wind on the moon. However, the supporters of the lunar conspiracy could not resist the fact that the whole world was watching the landing of Neil Armstrong, and the flight of Apollo 11 was recorded by a large number of radar stations. In the end, it had to be admitted that the American astronauts were the first people who were able to walk on the surface of the moon, but the controversy about this still persists. Flights to the moon stop. The first mission to the moon was made in 1966 and the last one in 1972. At that time, scientists did not have enough equipment to study the satellite of our planet. After so many years, technology has advanced and we can now learn much more about the moon. However, the flight stopped, but why? From an economic point of view, it is not profitable to fly to the moon. This is because there was an agreement between states that the satellite of planet Earth is the property of all mankind and it can only be explored for the benefit of all countries, regardless of their financial and scientific development. Therefore, all the money spent on the launch of space modules will not pay off. Because the useful substances found on the surface of the moon cannot be used for the benefit of the country which discovered them and brought them to Earth. In addition to this explanation, there is another version of the termination of missions to the satellite of our planet. No matter how silly it may sound, but the moon already has its own owners, who are not going to share its territory with Earthlings. They are aliens. Here we should remember the theory, saying that the moon is an artificially created space object, and they behave quite aggressively. This is evidenced by the strange events that happened to the crews of aircraft landing on the surface of the Earth's satellite. For example, in Apollo 13, an oxygen cylinder exploded, which miraculously did not harm the astronauts. Other research modules ran out of batteries, had holes in the hull, and lost communication. One way or another, all lunar surface exploration projects have ceased to exist as of today. So far, no country has made any sensational discoveries, and whether it will do so in the near future is unknown. We are left to observe the moon through telescopes and wonder if there is extraterrestrial life there, for which we have become an object of study. Subscribe to the channel and share this video with your friends. Give it a thumbs up. Tell us interesting facts you know about the topic of this video. See you in new videos.